Hello, all you creepy ghouls and goblins and witches and demons out there. Welcome to another edition of HalloWeird, where strange gets stranger. Where if you get your toes blasted off because of a popcorn kernel machine, well, that's just extra butter for someone's foot fetish. Where, if you wind up in an alternate universe filled with people who are assholes, doesn't that just make you normal by default? And the only time of the year where everything, including other humans, start tasting like pumpkin spice. And all I'm saying is, look, cannibalism is highly illegal. Don't do that. But you know all the crazy white women would totally eat and devour other people if they started smelling and tasting like pumpkin spice. I'm just saying, white women be crazy. So welcome to HalloWeird. And tonight, we're doing something we haven't done actually in quite a while. See, I've noticed that the last time I did something like this was with, I think, some Cheetos. And this is something that we haven't done in quite a long time because, honestly, for one, and big warning, by the way, opinions on the internet! Be warned, there will be opinions on the internet during this stream. Oh god, opinions on the internet, holy fuck! But, fair warning. But the second thing is, we haven't done one of these in a while because I hadn't really felt the itch to do so. I mean, when the whole internet does stuff like this 24/7, 365, and, they do all the stupid you laugh, you lose bullshit. They do hey, we're going to rank and try every single sauce at Buffalo Wild Wings and give it from an S to an F tier type of thing. It just kind of takes the fluff out of it. It takes what makes it interesting out of it. It's why I don't do them as often. Because I feel like if I were to do something like this, it needs to be very rare. It needs to be a rare treat. And that's the thing with Halloween season. You can't have the Halloween stuff and the weird stuff of HalloWeird without having something a little sweet to go with it. Me personally, I'm finishing off a delicious strawberry jam and brownie battered dark chocolate hummus sandwich on keto bread. Well, specifically carb watch bread. And I add a little sugar-free syrup in there too. Is it delicious? Abso-fucking-lutely. Did I have a normal peanut butter and jelly sandwich earlier? Absolutely, I did. But it got me thinking. Part of the reason why kids, adults, and a lot of people enjoy Halloween is for the trick-or-treating. And with the trick-or-treating comes all that candy and chocolate. And part of that comes with let's be honest, the many, 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 many chocolate companies and many, individual, if not conglomerate companies that produce chocolate, slowly trying to rot away our teeth, our gut, and give us type 5 diabetes. Why type 5? Because they like to go one step beyond. Or maybe they just wanted to skip the first two and just decided, nope, you get so much super beaties that you go to type 5. It's where your body just explodes. Either way, we're doing a tier list. But we're doing a tier list on chocolate bars. More specifically, like chocolate and like milk chocolate bars, dark chocolate bars, generic chocolates that you get during Halloween, and like, you know, the name brand stuff. Plus maybe a few oddities here and there that I found online as well too. So, that's the plan tonight. We're doing a tier list. Sometimes you need to have a little sweet in order to enjoy the trick, if you will. And that's what we're doing. So, this is your final warning. Opinions on the internet. If that's not your thing, you can click away from the stream. Click away from the video. Go do something else. Go watch Nostalgia Critic's review of The Monkey. Go rewatch some Cat Icarus. He's really funny. Go support some of my friends who stream. Maybe collect some severed fingers. Or not. Who the hell cares? Let's get this shindig started. And if anybody wishes to join, you're welcome to join. Be warned, we will be doing this live. So if you have opinions of your own and wish to join in on the tier list, you can head on over to the Discord, where I'll be in the lobby chat. So, be warned though. Just saying, we are streaming live, so careful with certain things. But, with that in mind, I have a tier list started. I have one started, it's ready, and we are going to check it out and enjoy. So, oh, my auto mod actually decided to do something. Oh, that's a freaking... Oh, well, thank you, AutoMod. I appreciate that. Someone took care of a spam message. So, I like that. That's quite nice. I'm glad the AutoMod took care of that. Alright. Well, now that's done, let's get started. And I told you, I found a lot of different ones. Now, some of these I've never had. Some of these I have had. Some of these I've noticed are repeats. So, I don't know why they repeat a couple times, but we'll go through them as much as possible. So, now again, this was the only like tier list that I saw that actually had like a lot of different brands and stuff. So, including ones that I've never seen before. But what we're also going to do is this. Just to be safe. See, and that was the problem because it was hard to find like a tier list that actually had like a bunch of them. But as you can see, it's difficult. Yeah. Because apparently a lot of these tier lists, they just don't have one with all the normal stuff. Which is weird. Because half of these brands I've never even heard of. And these are all just basic chocolate bars. I guess I could do this one as well too. But we're going to try and do this one if we can. So, although a lot of these are brands that I've never had, and they tend to repeat a little bit, I'm seeing. So, I guess what we'll do is we'll do this one, and then if this doesn't work, then, yeah, we'll jump on a different one. So, let's share. Although I feel like I haven't had a lot of these. Yeah. I have not had a lot of these. This tier list may not actually work out. We may do this one then, but let me keep looking for one that... 120 US chocolate bars. Okay. There we go. This one works a little better. Alright, we got one that actually... Alright. We're going to skip this guy, because that one repeats. Alright, here we go. Presentation mode. Okay. I'm going to zoom in one more smidge. There we go. Alright. So let's get started. After. See? I got brownie batter hummus. Dessert hummus. And I got a healthy snack tonight. I got the dessert hummus and I got some broccoli. I know, I'm a weirdo. Weirdo on the internet. Both sweet and healthy. Alright. 100 grand bar. I feel like I've had this before. I'm not gonna say that 100 grand bars aren't, you know, the worst thing in the world. But I kind of forget what's in them. Chocolate caramel and crisp rice. Okay, that's all right. Now I know. I see these occasionally in the stores, but not as often as I would think. So, but still, it is interesting. So, I'm gonna put them, because the few times I've had them in my life, I didn't hate them, but I feel like I would have preferred a Nestle Crunch bar instead, in my opinion. So, I'm going to go with C. They weren't the worst chocolate in the world. Alright. Three Musketeers. That's the OG. A tier. I remember really liking Three Musketeers as a kid, right? And I'm going to tilt this up slightly. There we go. Just so y'all can see me better. I remember liking Three Musketeers relatively well as a kid. I enjoyed them greatly. I liked them. I never had any, like, you know, major issues or anything with them. And I really liked the smoothness of the chocolate and the smoothness of just the flavor and the profile. So, and honestly, it's just, it was a really good chocolate bar, especially with sort of that whipped nougat and just how fluffy and chocolate coated everything was. And honestly, it really does remind me of the goat, which you'll find out later today or later tonight. But it was pretty much like very similar to the goat. But you'll find that out here in a bit. So A tier. I never had that one. What is... That's a similar Three Musketeers, I know that. I would put that... I don't think I've had that version of Three Musketeers. And which one's that? Three Musketeers Coconut. I had coconut. Three Musketeers Coconut was definitely interesting. I would still probably put that under a low A tier. I remember the coconut blending really well. I remember the coconut actually being a nice, interesting addition. I love mint chocolate. And I remember having the Three Musketeers mint chocolate too. But I remember too, the mint wasn't as strong in that as a kid. So I put that in B tier. It still is a great Three Musketeers bar, but just not one that I was kind of hoping the mint would be a bit stronger on it. And I think that's literally the same thing as this, so I can't. I think it's like an ice cream bar, maybe. So, Truffle Crisp Three Musketeers. I never had that one, I don't think. So I'm going to have to put that in NA. And then, give me one sec. Because they've had a lot of different flavors. I think that one is like either, I don't know, some kind of hot chocolate marshmallow? Is what that is? I don't think I've had... Wait. Is that just OG Three Musketeers? I think it is. I think I'm just gonna... Yeah, that's an A. Then what's this one? This is why it makes it difficult. Louis. Oh, birthday cake. I've never had a birthday cake Three Musketeers. No, oh no, I did have it once. It was interesting, but it wasn't the greatest. I would say D. It was definitely the weaker of the Three Musketeers. But that one's coconut. I would say original before coconut. Mint was slightly stronger. I never had truffle crisps or that one. So, there we go. I might just keep it at this distance so I can actually see everything. Let me see how it looks on stream. Okay, it looks fine. So, I'll zoom out like maybe a little more. There you go. Okay. S Avenue or Fifth Avenue. Never had that one. Now, I've had Almond Joys. Almond Joys are not bad. Peter Pan Almond Joy? I think I've had that one. Almond Joys are not necessarily my number one favorite. I'm never not going to say no to an Almond Joy, but it was never a chocolate that, like, I specifically, sought out for. But if someone gave me an Almond Joy, I'd be like, yeah, it's there, I'll eat it. So that's a C tier. I think that's literally the same thing. And then key lime. I've never had a key lime Almond Joy. That's wild. Wow, no, I've never had that. That actually sounds awful. But I've never had it. And then the original Almond Joy, the king size. Now, see, this goes up higher. Because, like, these two are like the peanut butter ones. Kinda. Right? And the Peter, like the Peter Pan kind of peanut butter ones. But the original Almond Joy and the king size with that little bit of extra crunch brings that up just a notch. Okay. The Baby Ruth Crisp I have had once. It was just okay. So I'm going to give that a D. But we're going to jump ahead a little. And the Butterfinger Crisp was actually slightly better. I do remember liking that. I remember trying it once. I remember getting a bar of it. It wasn't for Halloween. It was for I think it was an Easter thing. And I remember getting a basket full of chocolate from, I think, family or my grandparents. And that's how I tried the crisp ones. I remember Dad also liking Butterfingers too. So, I remember him specifically liking Butterfingers, and I remember him specifically enjoying it too. So, that's just the original Baby Ruth. I gotta be honest. I know Baby Ruth is a lot of people's favorites. I know they enjoy it. But for me, it was one of those things that just, I didn't eat it as much. And at least with Almond Joy, I liked the crunch factor. And I was never not disappointed with an Almond Joy, regardless of most of the flavors, as you can see. But Baby Ruth was one that I was just kind of I'll pass. There was just something about there we go. There was just something about Baby Ruth that I was just I just, it wasn't really my thing. I think, yeah, here's why. Because it was peanuts, caramel, and milk chocolate flavored nougat, covered in a compound chocolate. And the way that they did, the design and the feel of a Baby Ruth was just not for me. Especially the high quality dry roasted peanuts. That kind of stuck out. It was always a weird texture of sweet, crunch, salty, but in the wrong order, if that made sense. It just felt like it wasn't my thing. So, now, obviously you've got Butterfingers, right? Butterfinger Dark, I tried once. I actually liked it. It was an A tier, but I liked it. Dad was a big fan of Butterfingers and Reese's specifically. So, I don't know what it was, but I feel like the thing with Butterfinger though is that like, so the OG Butterfinger goes in C tier because it's one of those ones that again I'm just kind of like, yeah, if it was there, I'd snack and eat on it. But the crisp was definitely a little bit better than I feel like the original Butterfinger because of the intentional like crunch and form factor that added layers to it. But Butterfinger Dark basically said, listen, we're going to take everything about the Butterfinger but do a dark bitter chocolate, but like that dark bitterness actually helps make it stand out a bit more. And they were right. So, because of that, I remember liking the dark version a bit more. I just realized there's like a fuck ton of Reese's I'm gonna have to get through. Oh, man. Alright. Cowberry cream eggs I have a weird history with. And I know Cowberry makes the Caramello bar, right? But I have a weird history of Cowberry cream eggs. Because I, as a kid, loved some chocolate and some sweets. I was weird because I was very picky with my chocolates and sweets. I only liked very specific ones and very specific like textures and mouthfeels when it came to chocolate, right? And so, as you could tell, even alluding with this brownie batter dessert hummus that I got from my work, I always preferred dark chocolate, like the bitter dark chocolate, but I also preferred like smooth chocolate. Stuff that felt like buttery smooth. Stuff that felt like it would stretch, like there'd be a pull. Stuff that felt like it would like, and I hate to make this sound sensual, but it is HalloWeird. Stuff that makes it really glide down the back of your throat a lot easier. It just slides down in there with flavor. Stuff that wasn't like a chore to chew, but stuff that was like, you just feel it melting in your mouth. That's the kind of stuff that I loved, right? So, Caramello, you would think I would actually like, right? But surprisingly, I was not a Caramello fan. And I think it's not because of the bar itself. I think it was just because it is a very more densely rich type of milk chocolate and a much more denser, smoother caramel center. It really was just a little too dense for me to where it wasn't as smooth as I would like enjoy it. And not that it's not a bad chocolate bar, but I also remember Caramellos being very like, I would almost say a little bougie too, even back then. Like, this was the type of chocolate that, you know, you would look at it at like the gas station or the grocery store or at a Walgreens or CVS and be like, oh, that's what like the nicer people eat for chocolate. It just always gave that vibe. So for that, it's it's a kind of low D. It's just something about it, and I can't explain it. This may be like an ADHD thing. This may be like, like a neurodivergent thing. But for me, it just wasn't the right. It felt too rich. It really felt too rich with its 2-note simple ingredients. Simple as that. Also, now that I know what, I think that's like a s'mores one or like, let me go back to the Three Musketeers real quick. Give me a second. Because I just realized Three Musketeers has like a lot of products. I think they were chocolate brownie and s'mores bars is what those were. And I've never had those. They sound good, but let me double check something. Chocolate brownie. Big bar. Yeah, I'm trying to look up like brownie bar, s'mores, but I don't recognize the logo on that one. Oh, here we go. S'mores brownie bar, Generation Max. Yeah, no, I've never had the Generation Max ones. Not once. They probably sound pretty fucking delicious, but never had them. So that's wild that like that these two exist and I've just never had them. So also, yeah, that's another one I gotta talk about, huh? So Charleston Chew is weird. Not a bad weird. Just a weird that I'm not used to. Because I never liked a lot of stuff from the Tootsie Roll company. Right? I never was a big Tootsie Roll like person. You know, I think when I got them in my Halloween bags or pillowcases as a kid, like, I didn't hate them a lot. I hated candy corn as a kid. But, like, Tootsie Rolls were always just either too rock hard or too, like, tough to chew or just out of date or, like, they didn't melt correctly. So, because of that, a lot of stuff that the company Tootsie Roll made, I think I just genuinely avoided. Have that being said, I've tried Charleston Chews before. They're okay, but not my favorite. I would have to say, and this is where the hot takes finally start to come in, so be warned. I would have to say it just, I just couldn't do it, man. I just did not like the taste of the chocolate one. And it felt more like a chore. It was too much. I didn't like the taste. I didn't like the texture. I just wasn't a Charleston Chew guy. Now, have that being said, the strawberry one is D, but that's like a real low D. And the vanilla one helped a little, but it wasn't, again, it wasn't enough for me to like really like it. I'm just not a Charleston Chew guy. 100%. There's something about Charleston Chew that I just couldn't do. Scooby-Doo. So, Arc bars? Arc chocolate. Bar. I can't see what that one is. Real peanut. Some of these images are way too zoomed in. Bark? Is it bark chocolate? Bark chocolate. Dark chocolate bar? Okay. I can't even see what that is. It's B something. I don't know what that is, so I can't really. This is Arc. I've never had it. Let's go with that. Okay. Now we're getting into familiar territory for the most part. Alright. So, here's how we're going to do this. Crunch bars. You know how I said I didn't really like the crunchy sort of bars with with the peanuts and like cashews and the rice crunchies and stuff like that, right? There was one exception to that rule, and that was Nestle Crunch bars. As you can tell, again, I like smooth chocolate. I like dark chocolate. I like chocolate that's like really melty. I like stuff that just goes down easily. I don't like a lot of the stuff that has like cashews, almonds, peanuts, like a real crunch factor to it. The only exception are crunch bars. Now, some of these flavors I've never had, some of them I have had. So I'm going to do it this way. The crisps, I've actually had those. Those were pretty good. I would put that in B tier. Pretty simple. I'd say they were the best of the crisp bars that actually made sense because crunch bars were already crispy. So you're just adding a little extra crisp to it. Like, that's all you're doing. Which I'm not complaining. But look. The dark sticks. A tier. Imagine you get the same mouthfeel of a Nestle Crunch bar and the same taste, the same texture, but then you get a little dark chocolate, and then they're basically like almost like crunchy, like slightly salty pretzel sticks. So you get the taste of a Crunch bar, but with the love of like a pretzel stick. A tier. That actually, you know what? No, because here's why. Hang on. We're skipping ahead a little. The Crunch dark chocolate, first S tier. Take everything that's already great about a Crunch bar and add that little bit of bitter dark chocolate, but not make it as salty as, say, the dark sticks, and you've got yourself our first S tier. Realistically, 100%, I would have to say that, you know, those particular ones are really good. Specifically because it's got the right mouthfeel of the satisfying crunch. You get the rice crunchies with it. You get still the smoothness of that chocolate, but you get a slightly dark bitter chocolate that's actually like really good and offsets it and balances it a little bit. And it still melts perfectly. Easy. And again, Crunch bars, they've done a lot. They've done quite a lot. Yeah, Nestle Crunch has had a lot of different flavors over the years. I would definitely say they've had a lot. Man, if that's the one I'm thinking of, it's like a mocha flavor, I think. Yeah. The mocha one was really good too. Yeah. I would have to say it's A tier for the mocha one. That one was really good. The regular Crunch sticks were like a high B tier. Again, it's just because I'm weird. I like dark chocolate more than I do like milk chocolate. Now, keep in mind, I'm also remembering stuff from when I was a kid as well, too. So, like, the only milk chocolate that I really liked a lot back then was, like, again, Crunch bars, Three Musketeers, and a particular brand we'll get to here in a bit. So, I've had the caramel one. That one was kind of a D tier. I still liked the crunch, but The caramel was just a little too much and made it too confusing. And it almost kind of ruined the form factor quite a bit. It knocked it down a bit. It's weird to say. But, yeah. It just, And then I think that's like a vanilla one. Or is that the crisp? Hang on. Nestle Crunch White Chocolate. Okay, so that's what it was. That was like a white chocolate one. Yeah. I would. It was about a like a B. I wouldn't say I hated it. I still liked it quite a bit more than, say, some of the other stuff that's out there. But, like, again, with Crunch Bars, they're the one exception to the rule with the whole texture thing. Because I guess for me, Crunch Bars made sense because they were a thin, crunchy texture that was a very precision-based crunch. It was a very satisfying, like, that's like a nice little crunch for, like, the noise factor, if I was ever in the mood for it, but it still melted in your mouth. It still melted down your throat. It still was a good, smooth, creamy, melty, buttery like chocolate. And the white chocolate one was really good. Again, wasn't my favorite, but for what it did, this was like an Easter one, basically. And then obviously you got the goat. You got the goat. The OG goat gets an A tier. Again, I would honestly put the Crunches right behind Three Musketeers. The reason why is because, again, I kind of switched back and forth a bit as a kid. Sometimes I would really just want, I just want a tiny little Crunch Bar. Just for that satisfying, like, Rice Krispie type feeling. But most of the time, I wanted something like a Three Musketeers. And I was like, oh, so good. Okay. Dove bars. They're okay. They really are just okay. Like, I don't hate them. I did like them. They were good. They were creamy. They were silky smooth. And they really did fit the bill with what I wanted in a chocolate bar. I didn't get to eat them often because I felt like they were just bordering the line of a little too rich. But for what they were good. I would still say I would put the dark chocolate Dove in B, and I would put kind of the regular one in C. Because the main difference was with the dark chocolate Dove, it felt like you could tell that it tasted a little bit higher quality back then. But like a regular Dove, even now compared to back then, just kind of tastes okay. Like, I know it's not on the list here. I don't think it is. No, it's not. But, like, if I wanted... Let's say, hypothetically, I didn't have diabetes, right? That's the whole reason why I'm eating a dark brownie batter dessert hummus, because it's got, like, 1 gram of sugar in this. And 8 carbs with 2 things of fiber. This is my equivalent of, like, something sweet. But, like, that's why I'm eating broccoli with hummus. Because I can't really have much chocolate and sweets anymore. But, like, if I wanted that sort of rich, more elevated chocolate, like, the really, like fancier, smoother chocolate, I would get a Ghirardelli bar. I would get, like, Brookside acais, or like the Brookside chocolates, where it's like, you know, the chocolate with fruit in them, and they really melted. You didn't even have to chew them; you just let them sit in your mouth and melt. There's actually a funny story. Me and Dad tried them one time at Walgreens one time, and went for a snack run, and we got them, and we both really liked it. I think it was after like, he had me for the weekend or whatever, or after a school run, because my mom and dad were divorced, and we tried them, and we were like, oh my god, they're so good. I got the raspberry one, which I really loved. Dad got the blueberry acai one, and then we swapped and tried the other ones, and they were good. But Dove is one of those things that's like, it's there. You know, I don't hate it. I think Dove is a higher quality chocolate, but, like, it's never one that, like, I necessarily, like, needed. Right? Is, I felt like Dove was very much, it almost felt a little too nice. Like, it teetered the line between, like, yeah, it's milky smooth, and they're perfect for indulgent time, and it's a really creamy milk chocolate and dark chocolate. But it almost felt like it was a little too bougie for my taste. It felt too fancy. And I never got to eat them often. So as such, they were just okay. Again, I like dark chocolate more than I do milk chocolate. So, I don't know how to tell you all this, guys. Gotta be real with you. It's a weird one, but yeah. Hear me out. It's the combination of toffee and almonds that put me off. And the milk chocolate tasted off when biting into one of these. And, like, I always felt like a Heath bar or a Heath miniature always felt like it was very It was a chocolate bar disguised as something healthy. It was a healthy... It was a way for you to eat more nuts. It disguised as a chocolate bar, and it just... The quality could have been better. I don't know, maybe the quality's changed, but obviously nowadays I can't even eat a Heath bar. So, yeah. It just... I just couldn't. I really couldn't. 100% I just can't. It's just a weird mouthfeel. Okay. Oh, I'm about to piss a lot of people off. Here we go. Here we go. I'm sorry, folks. Get ready. This one's gonna sting. I mean it. This one's gonna sting. So, get ready. Which one's that first? Oh, that one. That one was so... Yeah. Alright. Seriously, get ready. It's about to be weird. Actually, yeah. Sounds about right. No. Ugh. Yeah, that's right. Ugh. Alright. 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 This is gonna take a minute or two to explain, if not more. I know, I just pissed a lot of you off. Okay. Hershey bars taste like fake wax. Hershey bars taste like fake candle wax. 100%. I just can't do it with Hershey bars. As a wee child, I used to like Hershey bars. I used to like them. I didn't love them. I used to like them. There's a running joke with my family that said my diet consisted of honeycomb cereal, Kit Kats, McDonald's, and Michelina's frozen dinners. Hershey bars are the worst chocolate that are ever American made. They taste waxy. They taste fake. Every single time you bite into a Hershey bar, at least 80% of the time, it either tastes like there's too much sugar, there's not enough sugar, there's too much chocolate, there's not enough chocolate, the chocolate melts immediately in the bar or gets stuck, gets sticky in the wrapper, just tastes too fake. And I think the biggest one for me is just Hershey bars don't taste like actual chocolate. Well, 100%. Hershey bars do not taste like real chocolate. And I think the only reason why a lot of people like Hershey bars is for nostalgic purposes. And that's it. Their grandparents grew up on it. Their great-grandparents grew up on it. Their great-great-great-grandparents grew up on it. Their kids are growing up on it. Their uncles knew someone at least once that worked at the Hershey's plant. It's overhyped. It's bland. It's gross. I said it. 100%. I do not like Hershey bars. 100%. Now, with that being said, there have been some exceptions to the rule. The milk chocolate of almonds is basically just the same thing but with almonds. The white Hershey bars are the same thing as the milk chocolate but just with almonds. So it's literally just instead of milk chocolate, it's white chocolate. I've never had these 4 Hershey bars, and they obviously came out around the time I've either had diabetes or before diabetes, or just didn't have an interest in them because they're fucking Hershey's. I heard the Reese's Hershey's collab was interesting, but they're basically owned by the same company. Who the fuck cares? That being said, I knew some people that tried them and said it was okay. Again, Hershey's Gold, peanuts and pretzels with caramelized cream. That sounds like it's just too much. I've never had it, don't care. The Hershey's S'mores just sounds like you took the American tradition of camping and instead of the proper thing, which is the Hershey's bar, the graham crackers, and the marshmallows, you just kind of said, fuck it, eliminate the whole tradition altogether. And I have no clue what the ever-loving, ass-blasting, toilet-destroying hell Snork is. So, now, Hershey's Extra Dark is a little bit more palatable because, like I've said, I like dark chocolate. I like the bitter chocolate. It's still fake, waxy, gross, doesn't always melt correctly chocolate, but the two flavors that they had, which is the dark caramel one and then the like cranberry, blueberry, and almond one, were gross and weird, but they were better, but weird. Hershey's Special Dark is just plain Hershey's and an extra special dark chocolate. No gimmicks, no bullshit, and it tastes a little less waxy and a little more like it could be palatable, to say the least. Same with the Special Dark that they'd get with like the peanuts in them. To me, the Hershey Special Dark with like the almonds and stuff in them actually tasted almost like an alternate version of a Crunch Bar. Or instead of the rice crunchies, you got the almond crunchies. I don't hate almonds. I like almonds. Hence why Almond Joy is even in C tier, because I'm like, yeah, sure, why not? I like a little crunch sometimes, but you know, I want there to be a balance. The Special Darks were good. And I like the Special Darks because, again, they have a bitter taste to them instead of the fake, waxy milk chocolate taste that the others do. But that one right there, let me tell you about that one. The Hershey's Air Delight is a fucking weird one. Let me explain this one to you folks. Okay, we're gonna deviate for a sec, if you will. The Hershey's Air Delight bar was weird. Okay? I'm gonna say that in the best way possible. Right? Oh god, I can't even get that image to load. Alright, hang on. Hershey's Air Delight bar. I actually managed to try this. This was before I had diabetes. This is before I had some health issues. I actually tried this. It was very odd, to say the least, because without going too crazy into it, no, I don't care about that. Oh, I guess that's just a factoid thing about it. Aerated chocolate and air bubbles in your chocolate definitely gave it a more delicate, lighter taste. And it was definitely produced and manufactured very differently compared to an actual Hershey's bar. So much so, in fact, that the formula changed with this one. Because they realized, oh, we can't get away with using the same waxy, sort of weird texture and mouthfeel as our normal stuff, because it's airy and bubbly and has air pockets in them. So because of that, we have to change how it works. And because of that, it tasted... I guess that's not it. It tasted very different. It was a special chocolate that first debuted in 2010, technically 2011. But the insides of the chocolate did, it looked a lot like bubbles. And the bar had a very smoother, more like airier chocolate. And because of this, it actually crumbled quickly due to its design, but it made it easier to eat and swallow, and like air when it was chewed on, like it says. But that actually gave it an advantage, because it actually tasted like what a rich chocolate should have tasted. And I'm mad that they only had it for a very limited time, because had you somehow done what Nestle Crunch did, but combined like the Rice Krispy Crunch with the Air Delight formula, that would have bumped that up to an A tier. But they didn't do that. Obviously, you see a plain old bar of Hershey's Special Dark with like maybe a little almond to it, and it's there for a reason. But yes, the one exception to my Hershey's rant and my Hershey's hate: the cookies and cream bar. At any chance I could get, would destroy a Hershey's cookies and cream bar as a kid. It had the perfect amount of Hershey's chocolate on a white chocolate bar. Did not taste like their fake, waxy, cheap, gross milk chocolate. It had cookie crumbles, and it had a little bit of a white chocolate, almost like Oreo kind of cream taste to it. That basically, this was an Oreo cookie in Hershey's bar form. And you could tell because it even had the same taste as the Oreo cookie itself. And it was godly. As such, the Hershey's Cookie and Cream Bar is the one exception, the one that I have to my Hershey's rant. And it gets an S tier. Every other Hershey's bar in all of existence does not even compare. Straight up, 100%. Even their original milk chocolate bar is fucking disgusting. But their cookies and cream, the best thing they ever did. Moving on. I forget there's a lot of Kit Kat flavors. And obviously this does not cover every single Kit Kat freaking flavor that's out there. But we're going to make this brief. Alright. We're going to go in reverse order this time. Remember the joke I made about what my dad used to tell me? What was it? I grew up on honeycombs, Michelina's frozen dinners and spaghetti, McDonald's, and Kit Kat bars. There's a reason. I liked Kit Kat bars a lot growing up as a kid. They were the perfect balance of not too crispy, not too crunchy, not too weird of a texture, a milk chocolate that actually tasted good, and actually the wafers worked really well in its favor. Had a cool name. It was easy to share with all of your classmates and friends. You could easily break off a piece with your family and have a fun little moment. The satisfying crisp crunch was good. And it's just an overall great time. It gets an A tier for a reason. The only reason why it doesn't get an S tier is because back then I wasn't always in the mood for a crispy wafer. I had to be in the right mood for a Kit Kat. When I was in the mood for it, I'd gladly grab a Kit Kat. When I wasn't in the mood for it, that title belonged to someone else. Trust me, we'll get there when we get there. Now, have that being said, I've tried the mint chocolate one. Fun fact about me, I'm one of those weirdos that loves mint chocolate. There's something about that minty, fresh breath feeling and chocolate that just gets me going. I was about to do the, that face, but like, it just gets me going. And I got to try these again before I had the, issues. And the mint chocolate ones were great. They're really good. It took my love of mint chocolate and my childhood love of Kit Kats and just smashed them together. Short, sweet, and simple. Kit Kat Dark, pretty solid. Not as dark and bitter as I wanted it to be, though. It was like a hint of dark chocolate. It was like a hint of that bitterness. It wasn't as strong as I wanted it to be. Kind of the same with the Kit Kat White. White chocolate, but it didn't taste as strong as most white chocolates were. That's why it gets a B. Birthday cake was weird. I didn't hate it. I didn't love it. I felt kind of neutral about it. I think I tried it once, and that was it. Pretty simple. Lemon crisp is weird. I've had friends try it and other people try it. I tried a very small corner of a nibble one day, and it was odd. And yeah. Oh, and I guess I've never had pumpkin pie Kit Kats, and I clearly can't. So, also again, I'm not a pumpkin pie, pumpkin spice person. I don't know what to tell y'all. I've never had a mallow cup. What the fuck is a mallow cup? Mallow cups. Mallow cups are American milk chocolate cup shaped candy that contains a whipped marshmallows. Okay. I guess it's basically a reverse Reese's. It's, hey, instead of chocolate and peanut butter, it's chocolate and marshmallow. But basically as a Reese's cup. Okay. Sure. Oh, okay, it's a whipped cream center, but some people are saying it's marshmallow. Yeah, a creamed whipped marshmallow center. I've never had a mallow cup before. I don't know what to tell you, folks. I've never had a mallow cup before. So, NA. Weird. Mars bars are also definitely ones that I didn't have often. I can tell you right now. And I think I remember the reason why I didn't have them as often. Mars bars are good, and they were a very rare treat for me to have. I liked them, but I never really sought them out. And as such, they just kind of exist. Not offensively. I would actually say I would probably, would take that over $100,000 bar any day. But They were there. They were there. They were there. And I've had maybe a very small handful of times. And that would have been probably about it. Honestly. Not that I hated them in any way. But just, they were just there. Alright. I hope you all are ready. Because my bias and my inner child is about to show. I'm not going to hold back. You're going to see some nerding out here in a moment. Okay. That'll do it. Alright. Milky Way bars. Dear God, dear Jesus, dear Gandhi, dear universe, dear multiverse, and dear every single deity known to man, woman, and animal kind. To the person that created the Milky Way bars and introduced the Milky Way bars into my life. I hope their families, their loved ones, their kids, and their grandkids live happy, loving, rich, prosperous lives in this and in every universe. Now and forever. Amen. That's how much I've just... Milky Way bars. You do not understand how much I love Milky Way bars and how much it physically hurts that I cannot have them anymore. If they ever make a 0 sugar Milky Way bar, you bet your ass I am the first person camping out right in line for a 0 sugar Milky Way bar. Milky Way bars are the best thing. The best thing ever. They are God's gift to the universe. They are the greatest thing ever to mankind. They've existed, as you see, for over 100 years. And I love them. They're just... I want a Milky Way bar inside me, and I want to be inside of it. I mean that both sensually, physically, spiritually, emotionally, and a little bit sexually. I mm, Milky Way bars get me hot and flustered. So, also I've tried the cookie dough one. That is also a S tier one. But like Milky Way bars make me as a diabetic want to cheat on my diabetes and and risk the insulin. I It's just so indulgent and so simple and just so easy. Milky Way bars are very simple. A very creamy, smooth, just not overly thick, but perfectly balanced caramel. A smooth, extra pillow comforty, just wrapped in a nice warm blanket nougat, and finally a dense, rich, melts all the way the worries in the world milk chocolate that actually tastes like you've been kissed by an angel. I am so sad I can't have Milky Way bars anymore. This was my crack. This was my goat. This was my S plus tier. This was my go-to. This was my, you know what? Life sucks so hard, but thank God for a Milky Way bar. This was my, I would sneak out of the house at 3 in the morning and walk up to, out of the neighborhood into Chevron to get a Milky Way bar. This was the, you know what, before I go home and deal with my dysfunctional, chaotic, abusive family, Milky Way bar. This was the, you know what, school sucks, everyone is mean, but it didn't matter because Milky Way bar. Milky Way bar. Simple. The Milky Way bar makes me feel things, man. And they've had multiple products and multiple flavors over the years. And just when you think a Milky Way bar, just when you think you already couldn't go beyond, this is the quote Markiplier, the Midnight Bar, this is what it means to go further beyond. I take everything about a Milky Way bar and then just switch it up with dark chocolate. That's it. Simple, rich, delicious, creamy, little bitter, not overly bitter, a very unique, distinct taste. The dirty things that I could say about a Milky Way bar that are definitely not TOS safe. I'm not gonna say them, but you can imagine it. I just thinking about a Milky Way bar, it gives me the warm fuzzies. Milky Way bars are my goat. Now, had that being said, Milky Way has definitely experimented with some stuff. The Milky Way fudge bar was definitely interesting, but still really good. It's the same caramel, milk chocolate candy bar, but instead of regular nougat, it was fudge nougat. And it was really, really, really good. But the fudge recipe, excuse me. Walmart, I am definitely human. What? Do I have to keep holding it? Seriously? Well, the fudge bar was definitely unique. It was different, but it was still really good. But it almost felt like with the fudge bar, the only reason why it doesn't get an S tier is because the fudge bar felt like it was making the candy bar almost a little too dense and almost a little too heavy with the flavor, but I still really liked it. And as such, it's an A tier. And then Simply Caramel is okay. The best way I can explain Simply Caramel is just it's the same candy bar, but they take out that nougat and just stuff it with the caramel. Like I say, it's the same Milky Way, but with nothing but smooth caramel on the inside. So it takes out the nougat a little bit and just does way more caramel in it. Is the best way I can describe it. So, but yeah, it was actually quietly discontinued. Actually 2 years ago. A salted caramel version has been introduced to the market. If I didn't have the Beatus, I would try that. I would try the salted caramel version. I would try it. But I can't. I guess they realized that maybe we could add a little more flavor to the Simply Caramel, and that's why they probably discontinued it. So, But yeah, otherwise, I would say Simply Caramel is A tier. I would probably, if I were given the chance to actually try it, I would try the salted caramel Milky Way. And I probably would give that, in fact, an A tier. But yeah. Now you know I just have a big thing for Milky Way. Milky Way is my goat. Alright. Mounds is okay. I think the reason why I like Mounds a bit more than Almond Joy is because I like the coconut taste. That's the best way I can tell you and describe it. So, Mounds is good. I forgot about Mr. Goodbar. Yeah, I can't. Mr. Goodbars are just bleh. I've never had an O. Henry. And I don't think I ever will. Oh, God. And then, alright. Why are there so many flavors of Reese's? My God. Guys, I get it. Reese's. We'd be here all fucking night if we had to go through each of these individually. I'm not fucking doing this. Alright. No. Alright, here. Too much chocolate. Too much chocolate. These were okay, but I just usually give them to my dad because he liked Reese's more. Is that... The eggs were a little better. I would say the eggs were a little better. C tier. Never had a peanut butter bar. I tried the salted caramel one once. It was just too much. F tier. The big cup was C tier. I never had crunchy cookie. I would say low D because the Reese's Pieces helped a little bit and gave it sort of a unique texture. Oh yeah, I had friends try this for me and they said it was weird. They said they liked it but hated it, but it was weird. I tried like a small bite. It was too salty. It's too much. Too much. I guess the texture was a little more unique, but that's why it's a low D. Never had that. I've had that one. That one was actually okay. I think because it had more emphasis on the chocolate. Never had that. Never had that. I've had Reese's Dark. Those were actually good when I was a kid. I will put that in A tier. PC's eggs are just the same fucking thing as all the other fucking Reese's stuff. I don't know. I think I've had these. They're just okay. Yeah. F. Again, same thing in a smaller form. Fast breaks were mid. I didn't hate them. I didn't love them. I had them a handful of times as a kid. Same fucking thing. Don't care. That's just too much chocolate. I never had that. Never. Nutrageous. I think Dad had it once and I tried it once. It was just too much. Same with outrageous. That was also too much. Just too much. Just keep it simple. Same thing. Never had crunchy cookie. I've had this again once. I think, yeah, D. Yeah. I've had these maybe once probably when I was a kid. It's just Reese's but with white chocolate. Actually, no, they're pretty inoffensive. I would say about a C. I would say about a C. This was better because instead of the pumpkin gimmick, it was just straight up the white chocolate. What the oh, that's just straight up plain Reese's. Wow. Okay. A tier. Yeah. Let's see. What the hell? Oh, white chocolate ghost. Whatever. Peanut butter lovers. I don't think I ever had that. It's all the same. It's all the same. I think Dad had the sticks once, and I tried them maybe once. D. Take Fives, I know, are pretty popular. I didn't like them. It's just too much, man. The thins were not bad. I like the dark chocolate thins. Those get an A. White chocolate was about a C. White chocolate I'm weird with. I like the thins a little better. I would say A, B. Go B. Same shit. Ultimate. I actually did try these. This was just straight up peanut butter, and fucking peanut butter. I actually did really fucking like these back then. Those were good. Never had them. My God, too many Reese's. I'm not gonna. We do not have the time for me to explain the detailed history of fucking Reese's. Alright. Snickers almond brownie. I never had. Snickers almond. I would say that's about a like a C, low C. I remember kind of liking them. I don't remember hating them. I just remember them kind of being good. Peanut brownie I've never had. Creamy peanut butter I think I had once. And to me it just reminded me too much of Reese's. It was just sort of an almost copycat, but it was still good, so I would say B. Yeah, and then there's just straight up Snickers peanut butter, which I kind of liked those a lot more. So Snickers white is just the same as fucking normal Snickers, but just white chocolate, nothing special. Is bleh. And then I gotta be honest, I don't hate Snickers. I think the Snickers chocolate as a whole is decent, but I never really go out of my way for Snickers either. But they're not ones that I immediately gravitate towards, so they're like a high D. Alright, last couple ones, I swear. Alright. Twix cookie dough was actually pretty good. I really did like that. I've had that before. That one's in A tier. Cookies and cream is obviously way better. I honestly, that's like the one S tier with Twix that I actually really liked. I do remember having them quite a bit and actually going out of my way for them and searching for them, so those were good. I got excited when I would get these because I was like, ooh, cookies and cream. I think that's because it took because I already like Twix. Twix is already a good, just solid, decent, like, candy bar. And to bump it up with cookies and cream and then cookie dough was, like, pretty high up there. I would say that, straight up. Salted caramel was one that I thought could have been a lot better. That was kind of a D. And then obviously your regular Twix is just straight up an A tier, along with cookie dough. I never had a whatchamacallit, and then last but not least, our last S tier is York peppermint patties. Honestly, I mentioned many times earlier that I like mint chocolate. Yorks are short, sweet, simple, unchanged for many years. You never have to fuck around with a York peppermint patty. You always know what you're getting into for York. And you never have to overdo it. You don't have to overcomplicate it. Yorks are just good. 100%. You do not have to mess with it. Yorks are S tier. So, there you go, folks. Let me zoom out. My God. There you go. And with that, it's downloaded. There's one last thing we gotta do. Gotta give me just a sec. Because with that in mind, we are done. That was fun. I actually enjoyed going back in time and looking at chocolate and candy bars and things that I grew up with as a kid, and like actually going over a lot of the brands that I used to like, and even going over brands that like I've never had, or brands that I was just like, oh wow, really? And you know, stuff like that. So it made sense to actually like kind of go through it in a sense. So And with that, we're now posting it on the Discord. There it is. It has now been posted. There we go. Read it and weep, folks. Read it and weep. I'll admit, there was a lot more A tiers than I realized. There was a lot of them that I actually, like, genuinely enjoyed back then. And you could tell there's a theme. There, you could tell that there's a little bit of a blend between the texture and crunchy, but genuinely, for the most part, I liked a lot of smooth chocolates more than crunchies, with some of the exceptions, and obviously the one Hershey's product or two that I liked. But genuinely, I was mostly a dark, smooth, rich, sort of bitter chocolate kid growing up, or mint chocolate. Or your weird offshoots like the cookie doughs or like cookies and cream. But everything else below, I would say, A tier was ones that I either like, oh yeah, I have a memory of this, or oh yeah, I recognize this and I've had this in the past. I've never outright hated it, but you know, if my favorites weren't there, I would still gravitate towards like B tier. And then C tier was kind of like, hit or miss. They're just kind of there. If they're my only choices, then sure, why not? Whatever. But it's like not a big deal. Could be better pickings though. But anything below C tier, you could tell I was like, this shit fucking nasty. Or just the same shit. And again, so many Reese's options. Why? So whoever made that tier list really liked Reese's. So, anyhow, that's going to do it for this stream. Like, comment, subscribe, do all the stuff. Y'all know what to do by now. And, hope y'all enjoyed the tier list. We don't do these often because I just gotta be in the right mood for them. But it was still fun. And I hope your spooky month goes quite well. So, and gets all sorts of weird, to say the least. Have we learned anything tonight? Anything at all? It's fuck Hershey's. And Milky Way is the king. So, alright, that's it. I'll post it on the socials later.